The CSX Metropolitan Sub is a busy rail line with a long history with the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad that now hosts CSX freight trains along with MARC commuter trains and the Amtrak Capital Limited. On this rail line lies the town of Silver Spring, Maryland, and on February 16, 1996, Silver Spring would be rocked by a rail disaster. On the evening of February 16th at 4:30 p.m., MARC train number 286 departed Brunswick, Maryland. Leading the consist was a MARC cab car, then behind it was two passenger cars, and trailing was EMD GP39H-2 number 73. There were 20 passengers on board and 3 crew. At 5:25 p.m., the Amtrak Capital Limited number 29 departed Washington Union Station, headed west on the Metropolitan Subdivision. The train consisted of EMD F40PHR number 255, which was leading, P40DC number 811 trailing, 6 material handling cars, a baggage car, 7 superliner cars, and a high-level dorm coach. There were 4 crew, 14 service personnel, and 164 passengers on board the train. The double-tracked Metropolitan Subdivision had tracks numbered 1 and 2. The MARC train was on track 2, headed east, while the Amtrak train was on track 2, headed west to pass the CSX freight train that was on track 1. The Amtrak train was supposed to divert back to track 1 at Georgetown Junction. The signal before Georgetown Junction on track 2 facing the MARC train had a stop indication. The Amtrak train had started crossing over to track 1 at Georgetown Junction, and at 5:39 p.m., the MARC train struck the Amtrak train at 38 miles per hour.
Box 1918. To the rear of the park set in 19,000 block of Whitensville Road, reported a derailment of an Amtrak train with fire. All units, please stand by unless you have an emergency. Engine 191. Engine 191.
We're on the scene. We have 2 separate fires. It appears to be one in the front of the truck train, one in the rear. Give me a second while I'm right away. And we have a report of many injured.
The impact split the MARC cab car in half, killing all 3 crew members who were in the cab car. The Amtrak F40PH's fuel tank ruptured, causing a fire that burnt the rear of the engine up and killed 1 of the 3 MARC crew and 7 of the 8 MARC passengers. Emergency responders were not able to open the doors of the first passenger car on the MARC train. Passengers from other cars tried to break the glass, but attempts would be unsuccessful. The wreck destroyed the MARC cab car and the passenger cars, while the GP39 was barely upright, but mostly unscathed. The Amtrak F40PH and the Georgetown Junction turnouts were also destroyed. The total damage costs were around $7.5 million. All of the MARC crew and 8 MARC passengers were killed as a result of the accident, with 26 being injured. The NTSB decided that it was obvious that the cause of the disaster was the MARC train's failure to follow signal speed restrictions. Because all 3 of the MARC crew were killed in the crash, there was no way of knowing why the crew failed to follow the signals. The NTSB shifted their investigation to trying to figure out what systems could prevent the crash and also how the design of the commuter cars could have been better. The NTSB determined the current passenger car standards were inadequate and made several changes, like that passenger cars should have quick-release systems for exterior doors, passenger car windows should be removable in emergency situations, and that emergency exits should be marked with reflective material. The NTSB also determined that if positive train control had been installed on the Metropolitan Sub, the systems could have detected the failure to obey signals, and the chance of the collision would have been reduced. CSX was also criticized for removing a signal in between Kensington and Georgetown Junction. The NTSB stated that the signal could have lowered the chance of collision. After the incident, the engineer-conductor of the Amtrak Capital Limited filed a lawsuit against CSX, Amtrak, and the state of Maryland for $103 million, alleging negligence. They stated the injuries from the crash prevented them from returning to work. Well, that just about sums up this rail disaster. So thanks for watching, and I hope you all will join me in the next one.